We want to cross over to KICC. Like I told you, we have heads of state who are in the Republic already. The first to arrive this afternoon was General Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi, who is also the East African Community Chairperson. Azali Assoumani, the President of Comoros and the African Union Chairperson, has also arrived this evening. So has Nana Akufo-Addo, the President of Ghana, as well as Brahim Ghali, the President of the Sahrawi Republic. That means then we expect about 20 or 19 to be arriving later this evening or tomorrow. And Serafina Nairobi is at the venue, the Kenyatta International Convention Center, to bring us up to speed with preparations there ahead of tomorrow's meeting that kicks off early. Serafina, good evening.
A very good evening, Kiri. Indeed, we are coming to you live from the Kenyatta International Convention Center here in Nairobi, Kenya, whereby the inaugural Africa Climate Summit is expected to kick off tomorrow, the 4th of September, and expected to go on up to the 6th of September. While the theme of the summit is driving green growth and climate finance solutions for Africa and the world. Well, as you've said, the preparations are complete and everything right now is set and ready for the summit to kick off tomorrow, and the only people that will be allowed in here in the convention center are people who have been accredited, and we've been able to see that the process of accreditation is still ongoing, with some of the delegates and journalists still trying to find accreditation so that they can be allowed to come into the conference, given that only accredited persons will be allowed inside this convention center to be able to follow on the African Climate Summit. Also, Kyori, have been able to see that some of the procedures that have been put in place to ensure that the summit goes on well as it starts tomorrow is that some of the roads will be cordoned. Some of the roads like the Harambe Avenue, Parliament Road, as well as Taifa Road, and also some of the buildings that are adjacent to the KICC will not be operational starting from tomorrow, just for security purposes, to ensure that everything goes as smoothly as it has been planned. Well, the first plenary that is expected to kick off tomorrow will include the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, who will be in the first plenary that will kick off from 9 a.m. Also in the plenary will be the Executive Secretary for the UNFCCC, and also the Deputy Chairperson of the Africa Union Commission, as well as a representative of the youth and a representative of the indigenous people. Key in the summit are also expected to see a number of issues being deliberated upon, some of them including matters that surround the theme of the summit, which include climate finance solutions, which most African countries have been saying they've been left behind. They attend some of these big summits and conferences, but when it comes to implementation, they do not get funding for some of the climate adaptation projects that they put in place. We also expect to see them talking about some of the issues surrounding green gas emissions and the reduction of green gas emissions, and also matters to do with carbon credits, given that, if I am to narrate down to the country, is that recently President Dr. William Ruto was able to assent into law the Climate Change Amendment Bill 2023, whereby we saw matters to do with regulation of carbon credits, as well as legal frameworks on carbon markets, to ensure that there is a fair market when it comes to carbon credit, as most African countries say that they have been sort of disadvantaged when it comes to the trading of carbon credits, and given that Africa as a continent emits the least amount of carbon, yet it is the most that suffers when it comes to the effects of climate change. So we'll be able to see some of the policies that they'll be able to come up starting from tomorrow, whereby over 30,000 delegates from different African countries are expected to grace this summit, or to attend this summit, as well as about 20 heads of state. As you had mentioned, some of the heads of state have already arrived in the country. So we're expecting about over 20 heads of state to be able to attend this conference and to be able to commit to the Nairobi Declaration that will be made, and also to commit to some of the agreements that had been ratified before by some of the African countries, given that previously we were able to see the Kyoto Protocol and we were also able to see the Paris Agreement that some of the countries were able to commit to and ratify, but some have not been able to see through some of these policies that they agreed that they will be able to implement to be able to reduce a global warming to below 2 degrees Celsius. So it will be an interesting summit to see, to watch and to listen into, given that it's one of the first of a kind inaugural African Climate Summit, and will be following up in all of the deliberations that will be made in all of the ongoing meetings that will be happening at this Kenyatta International Convention Center. So, Curia, this is what we'll be following up. In case anything comes up, we'll be able to let our viewers know. Back to you in studio, Curia, in case you have a question.
Thank you, Serafina Robi. A good job. We'll catch up, obviously, in the course of the day tomorrow as you continue to update our viewers regards what is transpiring at the KICC. A very important conversation that is going to shape the future of Africa and the future of the world.